Commissioner Griner to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all that you do for us, Lord. Just give us your wisdom tonight as we make decisions for Lowndes County. And Lord, just watch over all of us and guide us and lead us in your direction, Lord. Just thank you for the first responders that are out there, Lord, that risk their lives daily for us as citizens, Lord, and just watch over them and protect them. And Lord, we just want to please you and do your will. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Griner. Commissioners, inside your packets, you have your work session minutes of June the 22nd and your regular session minutes from June the 23rd. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections to the minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move we approve.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second from Ms. Evans. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 5A is an appointment to the Lowndes County Division of Family and Children Services Board. Mr. Pritchard.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, as we stated yesterday, the term of Ms. Rebecca Powell will expire this month. Ms. Powell has served a 5-year term. To answer a question raised yesterday, Ms. Powell filled an unexpired term and then was appointed to fill a full term. In addition to Ms. Powell, Ms. Rhonda Harrigy has also expressed interest in consideration by the board.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Pritchard? Thank you, Mr. Pritchard. With that, I'll open the floor up for nominations, and I would like to go ahead and nominate Ms. Rebecca Powell to continue to serve. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, Ms. Rebecca Powell will be nominated to continue for the Lowndes County Division of Family and Services Board. My resource over here says she served well.
She did it.
All right, agenda item 6A is our public hearing, our one single case tonight. We've got a rezoning case, REZ 2020-06. It's for Cedric Solomon. It's located on Georgia Highway 135. It is currently EA, and the request is for R1. It has well and septic, and it's located in Districts 1 and 4. Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr.
Good
Chairman,
evening.
Commissioners.
Good evening.
Yes, again, this parcel was originally 5 parcels that were reconfigured and subdivided as part of an estate settlement back in March. These new parcels, on the next slide you'll see, meet the current EA zoning requirements and fulfill the character of the area per the comp plans, agricultural and forestry nature. The request to rezone to R1 is to allow for further subdivision of the lot in question, that northernmost lot you see highlighted there in the light blue, to approximately 3 1.7 acre lots. The proposed subdivision, as shown here, shows 60 feet of road frontage for each lot as required to meet minimum access standards. The request, if granted, would create an island or spot zoning within the character area. The GLPC, at their regular meeting, heard and recommended a request to deny the request. During this time, we've had 3 phone calls and 2 citizens spoke against the rezoning at the Planning Commission meeting. I believe several of them are here as well tonight. Staff finds the request inconsistent with the comp plan character area and future land use development and recommends denial.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Dillard? Thank you, Mr. Dillard. Okay, at this time, we'll open up the public hearing portion of the meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this request? Anyone that would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone that would like to speak in favor? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public participation of the meeting, and Commissioners, I'll turn it back over to you for your consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to follow the commission order and recommend denial.
Okay, we have a motion then to follow the recommendations for denial, and the motion is to deny the request. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7A is the adoption of the fiscal year 2021 budget. Ms. Black?
Yes, sir. Following your public hearing on July 7th, we have the budget presented for your approval.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Black? Commissioners, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the budget.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the budget. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7B is the beer, wine, and liquor license for the Patels of Lake Park Liquor LLC, doing business as Smitty's Liquor. It is located at 1265 Lakes Boulevard in Lake Park. Ms. Black?
Yes, sir. Again, this is a request for beer, wine, and liquor for consumption off-premise, and is due to a change in ownership.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Black? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the beer, wine, and liquor license.
Can we have a motion to approve the beer and wine license and liquor license? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7C is a beer and wine license at the Lake Park Food Mart LLC, doing business as the Lake Park Food Mart, located at 7215 Lakes Boulevard in Lake Park. Ms. Black?
Yes, sir. This is for beer and wine for consumption off-premise, and is also due to a change in ownership.
Any questions for Ms. Black? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the beer, wine, and liquor license.
Beer and wine.
Beer and wine, I'm sorry.
Correct. Okay. So we have a motion to approve the beer and wine license. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 5D, the fiber optics to the Lowndes EOC. Mr. Costi.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. As presented yesterday, this item is a request to approve installation of an underground fiber to the Emergency Operations Center. This fiber was initially planned prior to the building being built as the final way that that building would be connected to the network and be provided with telephony and network services. And it looks like we're finally ready to realize that. I've been advised by the attorney that should you choose to approve that approval should be preceded with a determination that there's only one source for this item.
Everybody got that? Any questions for Mr. Costi?
No, just had one for County Manager regarding the use. I know we get a lot of use out of it and everything. Are any of the other, I guess, users going to contribute at some point for the use of the ELC? Okay.
It'll be a dedicated service to the EOC.
Dedicated server, and we utilize a lot of everybody use anyway, right?
Aaron, this includes the connection on both ends and the fiber trenching and installing and everything.
Yes, sir, it does. This is the entire turnkey solution, including permitting, the actual racks to hang in the buildings, to go inside the racks in the data centers, the runs in the buildings. The entrances are already provided in the buildings by us, and all of the work in between. A full turnkey solution.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain the motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, you have a motion to approve the installation of the fiber optics to Lowndes County.
With the sole source? for $198,775.
Okay, as well as that it's been determined that it is a sole source provider.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, we have the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you, commissioners. That's been needed. Agenda item 7E is the judicial system software purchase. Mr. Costello.
Yes, sir. This is a software purchase from Tyler Technologies to add on and extend the existing purchase that was made last year. This will add pieces that were not available in that at that time, specifically for marriage licenses and gun permitting licenses, that will allow those to be purchased, printed, viewed, and used online as well as in the office. Today, there is no software to manage that. Most of that is done manually. So this will automate the rest of the process that was unable to be automated up to this point.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Costello? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7F is the approval of the Clightstone Road, Simpson Lane right-of-way and easement purchases for parcels 26 and 34. Mr. Fletcher.
Yes, sir. As we discussed yesterday, these have already been before you one time. This is just a name change, and since the name on the check and deed changed, the attorney has requested that it come back before you. So nothing else has changed except for the name on the check and the deed.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Fletcher? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the acquisition from the grantors of the identified properties for the purchase prices in terms of the acquisition for each property as set forth in the right-of-way deeds.
Okay, we have the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7G is the amendment to the TPO agreement for FY 2021. This is the transit plan. Mr. Fletcher.
Yes, sir. Again, this is just a housekeeping item to transition from a fixed expense reimbursement to a unit-priced reimbursement, which will start FY 21.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Fletcher? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, authorize chairman to sign amendment.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and authorize the chairman to sign. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7H is the acceptance of the FY 2021 Juvenile Justice Incentive Grant. Mr. Ty? Good evening.
Good evening. As we discussed yesterday, we're requesting authorization for the chairman to be able to sign the award documents for the FY 2021 Juvenile Justice Incentive Grant, which includes the agreement for services with Evidence-Based Associates. Be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from Mr. Ty? Thank you, Mr. Ty. Okay, Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve and authorize the chairman and staff to execute and submit the award packet.
Do we have a motion to approve and authorize the chairman and staff to execute and submit the award package? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7I is the GFA loan application. Mr. Stalvin.
Yes, sir. GFA offers local governments low-interest funds through the state revolving fund. Lowndes County's identified several lift stations and manholes that are in need of improvement. The loan is set for a payoff of up to 30 years, but there's no penalty for early payoff. The interest rate is set at 1.94%, while the loan is $2.5 million. There's a grant component to forgive up to $625,000. Staff recommends approval of the GFA loan application.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Stalvey? Thank you, Mr. Stalvey. Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the GFA loan application.
We have a motion to approve the GFA loan application. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7J is the annual contract renewal for mosquito identification and testing. Ms. Cumbus?
Yes, sir. This is of course, the annual contract renewal covering the trapping, identifying, and testing of mosquitoes, and it results in no increase in the budget.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Cumbus? Thank you, Ms. Cumbus. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Do we have a motion to approve? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7K is the Office of the Governor's Criminal Justice Coordinating Council Accountability Court, the Lowndes County DUI Court, which is administered through state court. I don't believe Judge Golden is with us. She did make her presentation during the work session yesterday. Do you have any questions, Commissioners, in regards to that request? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Agenda item 7L is the utility easement purchases and release of utility easements. Mr. Stalvey.
Yes, sir. The Coleman Road Force Main Replacement Project is requiring us to get the 3 additional utility easements and to release a section of unused easement on parcel 4. The attached utility easement sets forth the terms and conditions of this, and parcel 2 is a purchase from Lock Wind Farms of 0.23 acres for $34,500. Parcel 3 is a purchase from River Hill, 1.68 acres for $168,000. Parcel 4 is a purchase from Lock Wind Farms of 0.369 acres for $46,125. And also on parcel 4 is the release of the unused portion of easement back to Lock Wind Farms. Staff recommends the purchase of the above utility easement on parcel 2, 3, and 4, and the release of part of the existing utility easement at parcel 4, and authorize the chairman to sign their release of easement for parcel number 4.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Stalvey? Thank you, Mr. Stalvey.
Thanks.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the utility easement purchases and release the utility easement as described above and in the attached easements and release of easement, and authorize the chairman to sign the release easements for parcel 4.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Agenda 8, County Manager Report. Mr. Pritchard.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request an executive session for personnel.
Okay. Commissioners, could I get a, could we go ahead and do citizens to be heard first? Get that out of the way? Very good. Thank you. All right, let's do that. Before we go into executive session, let's go ahead and do our citizens wishing to be heard. Our first citizen is David Jonathan Davis. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My
Good
name is
afternoon.
David Jonathan Davis. That's Jonathan. I'm located at 2004 Fallen Leaf Lane, Valdosta, Georgia, 31602. And I'm coming before you as a representative of Valdosta Peaceful Protest, which will here on out be named as VPP. And we're reaching out to the commissioners, and also after our meeting that we had with majority of the commissioners, we came up with a statute that would be tasteful for the county to represent everything in the county. I'm going to hand over a portion of my time to Mr. Johnny Cook. He's our designer of the county, of the statute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Good evening.
Commissioners.
Your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Johnny Lewis Cook III. I'm at 417 University Drive in Valdosta, Georgia.
Okay, thank you, sir.
31602. And yes, I was approached by Mr. Davis and VPP as the artist of the statue that he wanted to build. I believe a copy had been sent to the majority of you. It's tasteful, should be non-offensive in any way, has a representation of the county itself, surrounded by children of varied ethnicities and backgrounds, holding hands together as a symbol of unity. But that is what's been presented to you. I can provide copies of the 3D model, possibly in the future a 3D print of the statue itself is what it would look like as a small model, but with your approval.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And I'll go a little bit further, commissioners, about the reason of the holding of the hands of all the ethnic children, and each of the ethnic children would have broken shackles on their arms, with a small couple of links hanging from their wrists and also their feet. So we talk about the history of Lowndes County itself. And I also propose that we turn the partial of the courthouse into a walking museum, where we don't have to destroy any chapters or taking these statues down. However, teach the history around the whole courthouse of the true history of Lowndes County, from the Indian War that ended in Greensville, Florida, to the coming and building of the railroad, why Troopville actually moved to Lowndes County, to this area. Also tell the history about those who came before us that showed a lot of unity in our city, that came from each person. And those also, I'm in the process of researching now, but turning the courthouse lawn into a walking museum and having a historical marker to mark the current Confederate statue about the significance of everything that's going on. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, our next speaker, Mr. Michael Knoll. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I actually wanted to first respond to, you kind of said this in terms of like getting us out of the way. If citizens wishing to be heard is an important component. I don't think you meant it that way. It just sounded a little bit like you wanted to get us out of the way before we go into executive session, but I just like was reflecting on this a little bit. In any case, Dr. Michael Knoll, live at 2305 Glendale Drive with my beautiful family, and I wanted to quickly address this body in regard to the situation of KLVB. I think I've done everything I can to explain the work that we have done as an organization in terms of the recognitions we have received, in terms of the components when it comes to the volunteer work that has contributed to basically turning every tax dollar into the ultimately the equivalent of about $2.89. And I've also certainly voiced my opinion in this regard, or done the research in this regard, and published this in the Valdosta Daily Times. When you're in a situation like myself, when you are a cancer survivor, you actually look at life a little bit differently. When you're a father, you look at life a little bit differently. And actually just saw a few days ago an image pop up on my Facebook, which showed you, and I actually liked that image very much, where you are holding hands with some of your grandchildren, as sometimes there are friend suggestions being made. And I couldn't help it but smile. Because ultimately, when I look at you as individuals, I see you as fellow human beings who might have a big disagreement of whatever it will be, that at the end of the day, you're still a fellow human being. And so when I get mad at you, rest assured, next time we see each other on the street, I'll still be able to have a conversation with you. All right? That's nothing to do with the other thing. Today happens to be the day when our executive director, who sits here right back in the audience, has actually been the executive director of KLVB for exactly 20 years. This would be the kind of situation we would like to celebrate with him and the members of the KLV board in terms of all the work we have done over the years. We had a conversation on May 21st where we had a rather candid conversation, although he at some point also mentioned the term as in, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. As he also mentioned at least twice that, you were happy about the fresh air in terms of the ideas that it was bringing to the table when we were talking about how we would critically look at the organization and the things we can do to improve, including actually the evaluation of the role of the executive director. And as you may or may not know, actually Aaron Strickland did at some point offer to resign from his position as executive director because he said, if this is about me, Michael, I'll step down. But I wasn't even in a position to find out whether or not it is about him at that point. I'm like, this is too early to talk about. So I wanted to look at what we have done, how we've accomplished, what we have accomplished the last few years. And the only thing I saw is there may be a disagreement, there may be some tensions that exist. But at this point, there was no reason for me to say anything other than let's move forward and see if we can work together. As it is, though, I have to say that I am afraid, I cannot say it any other way, that you should be shameful of yourself for what looks like you're willingly destroying an organization that has done so good for the community for more than 20 years. And I'm sad to have to say this because I know that you as individuals are decent human beings, but this is a big mistake and we're shooting ourselves in the foot by doing this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, commissioners, could I entertain a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
We have a motion to go into executive session. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor signify by aye. All right, we will now go into executive session. I'm going to have to ask everyone to leave except for the county attorney, and then we will reconvene when we come out of executive session.